Hello and welcome to the show. Today is one of those out and about episodes. I'm actually at the mechanic right now. If you remember, the time I was complaining that I needed about 500 grand to get some work done on my car, and anyway, it's gotten to the point where I can't ignore it anymore. In fact, my younger son, he just told me that I should just straight up get this thing done before the car will collapse with us on the road. So I'm here, spending time with my favorite people in the world, mechanics. Anyway, so while they're working on the car now, I figured let my time here not just waste. Let me just make one quick podcast recording. And recently, a podcast listener reached out to me. For those of you who've been listening for a while, if you discovered the podcast in the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, you should already be familiar with this lady. She's currently doing her NYSC, but then she has a side hustle. So I'm not going to go into any more details. I'm sure you guys remember the NYSC episode. And so she sent me a message 2 days ago just to let me know that her business is now making 100k in profit monthly. By the way, when I say 100k profit, I mean profit, not revenue. Now, a lot of you don't realize the significance of this, but let me just put it this way. If you go and do some runs and then you make some money. Okay, since my background is in photography, let me use the photo and video example. So if you go and do a job for somebody, they give you 2.5 M. Yes, we should celebrate and give thanks to God. But that doesn't mean that 2.5 M is what we keep. Because if you go and collect 2.5 M, then maybe you had subcontractor, you had editor, you had, all these people. And then at the end of the day, you settled all the boys 1 M. Then actually, the profit, the one that entered into your own pocket, is actually 1.5. Now, there are lots of business people who go around always shouting revenue, revenue, revenue. I'm not impressed by revenue. I'm impressed by profit. Because it doesn't profit you if you go and do a job and the job is 10M and you're shouting to everybody that you did 10M in revenue, you did 10M in revenue. But if at the end of the day, what you actually kept, the profit, by the time you remove expenses, you pay this person, you pay that person, you pay tax, you do this, you do that. If at the end of the day, the one that entered your pocket is 2M, I really think it's better to go around shouting that you're a 2M entrepreneur, because that one is justifiable, not that you're a 10M entrepreneur. So that's the difference between revenue and between profit. So, because some people will say 100k monthly, that's not money. I'm just saying, no, put it in context. It means by the time she pays everybody that she needs to pay, you pay your contractor, you pay this person, you settle whoever it is you need to settle. The one that remains, the one that enters your pocket is 100k. And for a first-time entrepreneur, doing 100k in profit, not in revenue, actually is not bad. Because it's not just about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. This is something that we're going to learn as we grow older and older in business. It's not just about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. And in fact, it's something I'm currently growing through right now, because the thing pains me when I go and do a job and then the money is big. But then at the end of the day, you pay editor, you pay color grader, you pay this person, you pay that person. And, the thing just vexes my spirit. But, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. You get the job and certain costs are involved in producing the final outcome that the customer is, the client is going to get. So that this lady is making 100k monthly is not a bad thing. Actually, it's a very, very good start. So she has paid everybody that she needs to pay. The one that entered into her pocket is 100k. Now, to put it in context, she's an NYSC. So NYSC, how much did they pay you guys? I don't know how much they pay you guys now. But back when I was in NYSC, I think the national one that government used to give us was like 5k. Then the one that Kano State used to give us was like 2.5. So my alawi every single month was 7k5. I honestly pray that it is not 7k5 that's still paying you guys. In fact, I hope it is more like 50 or maybe 100, because with the way things are rough these days, I don't know how you guys will manage if your alawi is 50k. So, but what I'm trying to say is this. Put it in context. Her first time business, she's in NYSC. She's doing 100k. So let's say NYSC is now giving 100k. Can you see that by her augmenting her income, times 2 is already a good thing. Even if she wants to go and do, let's say she doesn't want to stay in her primary place of assignment and she now wants to go and get work in town. I mean, how much would the employer pay her? But basically, I'm just saying that for somebody doing 100K in profit, not in revenue, in profits, it's not a bad start. Especially since if we consider that for most people, where we start is an indication of where it is that we're going to. Because for a lot of people, where we start, determines where it is that we're going through. So if she is doing 100K in profit now, and she's a jambite in the business, then let's give it 2, 3, 4 years. Is it inconceivable to think that she might be doing 200K, 300K, 500K in profits? It's not inconceivable. It is not. So it actually is a very good start. So if you're one of those people who is starting off in business and you started January, by February you look and say that, okay, this 1 month I only made 100K. I know it sounds small, but do not be discouraged, especially if it is 100K profit, not 100K revenue. If you're doing 100K revenue, that means, okay, maybe there's a problem. Because to be honest, if you're doing 100K revenue, by the time you remove and you pay tax and you settle the boys and the girls that work with you and everything, how much will remain? So yes, 100K revenue, that might be a problem. But if you're doing 100K in profits and it's your first time, please clap for yourself. You're doing very well. Tell your parents, be proud of yourself. Go and say your prayers, thank God, pay your tithes if you believe in paying your tithes. But just know that you are starting well. It's not too bad. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is this, not just to share that our NYSC entrepreneur is now making 100K in profits, but it's because while I was doing some research on her initially, because everybody who reaches out to me, I do my basic research on you because I don't like having conversations with people that I don't know at least some background information on. And that was why I made, I think yesterday's episode or 2 days ago, about my basic research stack. I'm going to take your phone number, put it in Truecaller. Truecaller will give me a name. Excuse me. I'll now take that name and then paste it in Google. Google is going to show me your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your social media, your whatever. If you've been involved in police case before and you are imprisoned, the thing will show up on Google and all of that. So that's the basic research that I do on people. So when I did that basic research on her in the beginning, and I found out that she actually is a first class legal brain. So when she finished in her school, she did first class, waiting to see what she's going to come out with in law school. But I know she's not going to do too bad. She won't do too bad at all. But she's a first class legal brain. And the reason I'm making this episode basically is this, because there's some kind of beef, there's some kind of sentiment that exists in Nigeria and exists in America. I'm not sure about the UK because, I don't know, I didn't really hear it in the UK, but Nigeria and USA, yeah, definitely I hear it a lot. And there's this thing, a sentiment regarding entrepreneurship and regarding academics. And people just assume that if you're good in academics, then it means you have a poor disposition for business. So let me repeat. The reason why I'm making today's episode is because there's this thing in Nigeria and in America where people assume that if you're an academic, if you're good in books, it means you will be poor in business or you'll be poor in money. In fact, I think it was a book that was written by, Robert Kiyosaki. That's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I can't remember one other author. But because of that, people now have this belief that if you are a C-level student, it means you're going to end up hiring B-level students to work for you. And your B-level students would end up employing A-level people as your employees. So let me repeat. So lots of people who believe that if you're a C-level student, it means that you're going to hire B-level students as your managers. And then the B-level student who is now a manager is now going to now hire A-class people to be the workers. So that is the myth that exists out there, that if you went to school and you were always struggling, you were getting 40, 50%, you're the one who's going to become an entrepreneur and who will end up hiring the person who used to now pass at 60 and 80%, who will in turn now hire somebody who used to get 90%, 100%. Now, statistically, is this picture true that if you are in academics, it means you are not good at making money and it means that you are poor in entrepreneurship, which means that the dons in your class is going to end up being your boss? Statistically speaking, is that true? The honest answer is I have absolutely no idea whether that is true or not. I do not know if it is the dons in class that ends up being the rich person who starts the business at the end of the day that now hires the B class student and the A class student who now hire the 2-1s and the first class. I have no idea whether it's true or not. But however, for my Nigerian audience, or for my American audience, we do have some anecdotal evidence. And by the way, when I say anecdote, I just mean them say. So this is not me going to go and do some research. So there's anecdotal evidence. There's them say evidence that if you have an academic bent, it doesn't mean that you're going to have poor entrepreneurial ability. So let me repeat. There's anecdotal evidence. There's them say evidence. There is, okay, I'm looking around in my environment evidence. And it shows that if you're good in school, it doesn't mean that you'll be poor in business. And these are some examples that you guys can easily find. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, I don't know about now, but a couple of years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, I would have boldly declared that there is no Nigerian youth who does not know Alibaba, because back then we used to buy a whole bunch of stuff through Alibaba. Whether it's camera you want to buy, for those who are started off in my space, you want to buy a camera, Alibaba. You want to buy smoke equipment, Alibaba. You want to buy lighting equipment, Alibaba. You want to buy bag for your wife on Valentine's Day, Alibaba. You want to buy diapers, Alibaba. You want to buy flash drive. You want to buy everything. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that people could buy from Alibaba. Now, the founder of Alibaba, the man Jack Ma, used to be an English lecturer. So he used to be an English lecturer. So this is just an example to show that somebody can be a prof, you can be a first-class brain, and you can also be a founder of a billion-dollar company that is known internationally. So please, Nigerian first-class brains, you should stop believing what people say. That, okay, you graduated first class in school, therefore it means that you are doomed to be somebody's employee, that you'll always be working for someone, and that it means that you're not going to be able to start a company of your own. Do not believe it. In fact, there's something that this guy, what's his name again, Self? A very motivational fellow like this. What's his name now? I can't remember anyway. American dude. But basically, whenever people come and whine to him, he says, okay, is there anybody in your neighborhood that made it? You say, yes, Chukudi made it. You say, if Chukudi can make it, it means that you can make it too. So basically, that's the scope I'm doing here. If you know one professor, if you know one first-class brain, if you know one Akada, if you know one bookworm, if you know one square guy, if you know one Jew boy, one Jew girl who made it, then it means you can make it too. So Jack Ma, Alibaba. Then there's also Stephen Spinelli. He's a PhD, and he's the founder of Jiffy Lube. I've heard of Jiffy Lube before, but I'm not sure what Jiffy Lube is for. I don't know if it's lube for, you understand, or if it's lube for motor cars. But if it's lube for that other whatever, you understand, then anyway, that's the guy behind it. He's a PhD. Then there's Jim Collins. Jim Collins, some of you have read his books. He's a Stanford MBA, so he got his MBA, excuse me, and then he also ended up teaching at Stanford. Then, the first person who got me thinking about these things actually is the chairman himself, Professor Mo Ibrahim. Now, lots of you are not going to know Mo Ibrahim because, well, first off, he's Sudanese, and he's a billionaire, and the time when he used to be in the news, the time has come and gone, so you youngsters are not going to know Mo Ibrahim. But for those of us who grew up in the military era, into like Obasanjo, Obasanjo first term, you should know Professor Mo Ibrahim. He is a BSc in electrical engineering. He has an MSc in electronics and electrical engineering. And then he has a PhD in mobile communications. Now, the reason why people in my generation will know chairman, the man himself, Professor Mo, is because he's the founder of Celtel. When under Obasanjo, the economy was opened up, and then we got MTN, I think, was it Ecotel, but basically, it was MTN, and then it was another company which used to be Celtel that ended up in Nigeria, under a different legal entity. So what used to be, if I remember correctly, is it Ecotel or any Ecotel, Etisalat, Nine Mobile, the father of those companies is what would have been Celtel, founded by Chairman Mo, if I remember correctly. So like I said, he's a Sudanese billionaire, so I don't expect most of you listening now, most of you youngsters listening now to know. But anybody who is like 35, 40, definitely 50-year-olds, we know who Chairman Mo is. Now, it's Chairman Mo that got me on this thing because growing up at that time, during the military era, that was the part of the assumption that I was exposed to. That if you're a sharp guy in class, the best you will ever be is somebody's employee. We always assume that the chairman, that the big boys, the big girls, were the people who are currently struggling in school or maybe who are making 50%. We always assumed that was the case. So honestly, when I now saw Chairman Mo on an international stage, the thing really messed with me like, this guy is a first class brain now. How come he's a billionaire? So for me, that was the eye opener. Not only was he a billionaire, he was working on this something index on good governance or something like that. So not only was he a billionaire, he also was trying to work on ways of moving society forward. Basically, I'm just trying to say that Chairman Mo was an eye opener for me, just to see that because you're a first class brain, it doesn't mean that you're condemned to be a bookworm all your life. You can be a first class brain. You can be a billionaire. You can be a founder. You can have renown on the international stage. So because you're a first-class brain, it doesn't mean you're condemned to be a bookworm all your life. And that's the reason why I'm making today's podcast episode. Because of this Nigerian entrepreneurial and academic beef. Because I still hear it today. People say things. I have kids now, so people say things. Oh, this guy is sharp. This guy is bright. This, that. And from the things they say, you can hear that, okay, because this baby is bright, you think she's going to end up being some tenured research professor or something, but then that's the limit of where it is that she can shine. And then if somebody is struggling in school, they say, well, school is not for everyone. That, that's where business people come from. So the point I'm making this podcast is because, well, I didn't tell her all of this, but, it's nice to meet first-class brains. It's always nice to meet one of them. Oh, by the way, I'm not one of you guys. I'm not a first-class brain. Some people think I am. Yeah, I'm smart, but I'm not a first-class brain. So it's always nice running into you first-class guys. But I just want you people to know, you first-class people, ignore this whole Nigeria, USA, entrepreneur and academic beef. Ignore this thing. Because you're a first-class mind, do not be afraid that you are not going to excel as an entrepreneur. If you're a first-class brain, but you have ambitions to get into business, go ahead. I keep throwing the same level of effort and dedication that you threw into getting that first class. Throw it into business as well. Keep shining, and don't worry, God is going to take you far. In fact, it is my firm belief, looking at the first class brains that we had in my class, in my own set in OAU, the guy who graduated first class was Tola Bella. There was Tola Bella, and then there was Shade Agbaji. Now, Shade is currently a partner in one of these firms on Banana Island. I can't remember what it was, what the name of the law firm is. But some of you saying, typical, first-class brain. She went ahead to be a partner in the law firm. Some of you say, well, expected. But you can see that there is some entrepreneurial ability that is involved in being a partner of a law firm. Because the partner of the law firm is not necessarily somebody who's the smartest. The partner in the law firm is the person who also brings in the biggest amount of naira and kobo. That is what being a partner in the law firm entails. It means that you're good at going out, bringing business, and bringing the money back to the table so that the law firm can share. That's how it works. So she has entrepreneurial ability there. Then Tola would also... Both Tola and Shade would end up in Harvard. I think they got some other degrees in Harvard, and then they came back to the country. And I think currently now, Tola is in, last I heard, I think he's in the startup space. I don't know if he's the founder anyway. But I'm just trying to show you that because somebody graduated first class, assuming you're one of those first class brains, do not assume that you're stuck with being a bookworm for the rest of your life. But the point I was trying to make is that there are some transferable skills that come through this. Because looking at Tola and looking at Shade and looking at another of my classmates who also graduated first class, but hers was back when we were in law school, but she's late now. May her soul rest in peace. But looking at them, I realized that there was a couple of things that these people had to do to clinch that first class thing. Number one, they needed critical thinking and problem solving skills. You cannot be a first class lawyer by cramming. It just ain't going to work. You can cram your way to success in a couple of things, but for law, it's not going to work. In fact, I don't think you can cram your way to success in any discipline. I think it's doubtful. So you need to show critical thinking. You need to show problem solving skills. You need to show research and analytical skills. You need to be good in communication skills. You need discipline and perseverance. In fact, the discipline and the perseverance, that's the one that I saw the most in my classmates who graduated first class. You need discipline and you need perseverance. Yeah, you also need adaptability and learning. Because surprisingly, because growing up, the impression that I got was first class brains are very narrow people, very straight. But surprisingly, it was not the case. Because like Shade, back then, she was born again. I hope she's still born again now anyway. So back then she was born again and she used to like dancing. So Shade was always in the dance troupe in church and stuff like that. And was still coming top of the class. There's adaptability that is needed in that. And Tola was an okay guy, but he had one streak, like, he had some Ronsman streak in him, if you catch my drift. He's married now, so let me not say too much. But he was able to make it work. So, those of you who have first class brains, you guys have got some transferable skills that you needed to secure your first class. It is also going to transfer as well when it goes into business. And all these skills, basically, it just means that when it comes to business, you guys are going to be good at strategic thinking, and you guys are going to be good at efficient operations, because you cannot clinch your first class and be inefficient with your time. Except if you are born a genius. Because I went to school with one of those types. No matter how he played, but this was like secondary school, no matter how much he played, and the guy really liked to play football and was mischievous like the rest of us, but no matter what he did, he always graduated top of class. So if you're one of those people, okay, maybe you don't need to be efficient with your time. But for everybody else who has secured their first class through hard work and through grit, strategic thinking, efficient operations. So you guys have transferable skills that are going to help. The only thing I will add for those of you who have first class brains, those of you who are akada, as we used to call them back in OAU, or bookworms, as they used to call them when I was in secondary school. If you're a bookworm, if you're an akada, the only thing I'll add is continue where you are. Just be learning networking and be learning sales. Because when you're ready to make that leap, you finish university, while you're doing NYSC, you're now trying to make that leap into business. You will need networking skills. You will need sales skills. That's the only thing I have to add. Apart from that, ignore this Nigerian thing of you're a bookworm, therefore you'll be a bookworm forever. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not a problem. I even think the fact that you were a bookworm in school is going to help you when you enter the field. So that's all for today. Let me head back and see how far with the mechanic working on my car. And in fact, I won't lie, I'm frustrated with all this rubbish, and I declare and I decree that by this time next year, I shall be driving a brand new car. God punish devil. I will not drive a Belgium car again next year. So I just know that I buy the car once, and I use it for 3 to 5 years. No mechanic wahala, apart from servicing and, changing tire and stuff like that. So anyway, thank you very much for your time and attention. If you'd love to connect with me for a business audit, a strategy session, or you have questions you want me to answer, the phone number to reach out to me on is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234. For those of you who are not Nigerian, that is my WhatsApp number. And please do not try to call me on a video call. I do not accept unsolicited video calls. Somebody tried to call me today. It turned out to be a sales call, so I immediately blocked the person. And by the way, I hope you guys are seeing in practice what it is I'm talking about. I am lenient, but even for me, I had to block the person. Like, come on, that takes the cake. Like, where do I know you from? You're now trying to do me video call. So, where did that come from? That's, in the past when I talked to you guys about how best to use unsolicited outreach, when people don't know you and when you're a total stranger, the best way to go about it. So you can check my YouTube my YouTube channel. The name of the YouTube channel is Tabishima Ayede. So just go on the YouTube and check. If you put WhatsApp in the search, you should see episodes that I have done on WhatsApp, especially when we're using WhatsApp unsolicited to drum up business. Unsolicited just means I don't know you, I don't send you, we're total strangers, I have no idea who the heck you are, but I'm trying to reach out to you to drum up business. So there's a right way to doing these sorts of things. So that's it. Oh, and then also connect with me on LinkedIn. The name to look for is Tavishima Ayede. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Let me head back to the mechanic and let me see how far, because this Abuja heat is not smiling.